online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Welcome, everybody, to another AfterBuzz TV after show for Intruders. I know, this is Season 1, Episode 3. Time has come today. I'm your host for the evening, Anna Koppel. Joining as always, is Will Lenk.
Thank you. Always happy to be here.
Always good to see you. And next to him,
you introduced Will. Are you not going to introduce me?
Isaac Johnson.
Oh, thank you very much.
Always happy to see you. And
yeah.
You're probably going to be upset by this introduction, but I am so
let's not hear
thrilled to introduce, joining the panel, the one and only, Marisa Serafini.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you,
Anna.
Yeah, you guys are going to be thrilled to have her. She's gonna really elevate this panel. I feel
the pressure's on.
I was saying each week we need to bring more people on to help explain this show, so yeah. I like it.
The more insight, the better. And Isaac, you were saying, if y'all want to tweet us during the show, we are open to that.
Yes. So, please help us on, especially if you're Glenn Morgan, who tweeted us last week. That was really cool.
That was
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was an honor. So this week we got to see, which turned out to be a flashback between Marcus and
Richard.
Turns out to be Richard.
Yes, or Richie, I guess, as he was referred to.
Yeah, Richie Shepard. Mm-hmm. So, but what was cool is we got to kind of see what is at least sort of an outline for what might be happening. And I wrote down the quote. What Marcus said to him was, when they manage to kill me, walk off with that shitload of money, then shepherd me off the books. And when it's time, bring me back. And when I'm back, they'll never see me coming. I'll take over and not forget what you did for me. So it's like a little bit of an outline about what's going on.
And it explains the title of the episode, When the Time Has Come.
Mm-hmm. Also, last week when they were talking about that there was no book for him, because this is an off-the-books shepherding. So that comes together a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I didn't even put that together. It's very
There's
smart.
no book from Marcus. Why? It's off the books.
Yeah, nice.
I like it, yeah. And money off the books.
Was Marcus's last name Mr. Fox?
Yeah, it was Marcus Fox.
Marcus Fox. And just like the symbolism of the names, Shepherd, the good shepherd, and, and then we have Fox, which is very sly. So I don't know. There's a lot of symbolism in this.
There's like that old term phrase, fox in a hen house. Am I saying that right?
That is
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
What I also really... what I thought interesting was about that exchange is, so he offers him all this money. Now, he could just kill him and take that money. I kept thinking, you could just kill him, take the money. So whatever he has to offer by sticking around, by still being around, by keeping Marcus around, must be pretty big for Richard Shepard.
Oh, yeah, quite possibly. Or because Shepard, or maybe it was Marcus that mentioned the 9 that they're trying to hide this from. Maybe... Shepard has got something against whoever the 9 are, which another 9 right in there.
Yeah, there's a reason to want to keep this guy alive. And he even said then, they'll never see me coming. Marcus said they'll never see me coming. So he's got some big plan against these people that Richard must go for in some way, must be behind in some way, or at least 9 years ago was behind.
Sure.
Right, and maybe this goes back to... last week's episode when Mrs. Ng said they'll kill us for what you did, and he said I'll kill you first, or he may have said they'll so maybe that's the 9 that she was referring to. I don't know, some sort of council.
Yeah, quite possibly. But he does check that it's been thousands of years, so they've been controlling, I guess, who comes back for quite some time.
I'm assuming the thing is that he did that off the book shepherding.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so he holds up that sand dollar. What do we think that means?
Oh, I had
I was trying to think of it. Was it a seashell? It's some kind of thing that, you know, the symbolism. But it seems like some sort of portal or some conduit to try to look through the past. If we are dealing with like metaphysical spirits, then, you know, that might be a way to see whatever, like futures or visions.
Or at least something that, a reminder that makes you, like you said, that the reminder of that brings back all the past visions of the lives you've had.
There's also a listener from the YouTube, Daniela Graff, who said that, let's see, that the legend of the sand dollar is about Christ and the resurrection as well. And Will, you brought up last week about the the ninth hour
of the
Christ
day.
dying. So it's some more symbolism there.
Lots of symbolism going on. All right, so do we have anything else to say about this this interaction between them? Anything else that we think is coming up?
Marcus is a creepy dude, but he didn't. I mean, he seemed, when we see the actual physical Marcus, he seems like he was more toned down compared to what we've been seeing, you know, through the interactions with the other two people that he's affecting.
Well, that Marcus is a toned down. I think Marcus
like physically, you know, in person, he seems like a more calm, creepy guy.
Yeah.
But then when we see him interact through, you know, Amy and Madison, it seems like a completely different guy in a way.
Sure. I kind of wondered if that older guy was, I don't know, the original Marcus, or maybe just one of the bodies that he was.
Well, the original Marcus has been around for so long. I mean, he even played in a orchestra back in the
1791 when she has that story later. Yes.
Many reincarnations.
So Marcus has been around quite some time. Like I said, I feel like there definitely has. Shepard seemed to be all on board with Marcus at that time, and now he's trying to kill Marcus / Madison. So we really have to figure out. I'm assuming at some point we'll be told what happened, what could have happened in the interim. Sure. What could have happened that made him now, is he now more doubling down on the 9, like working with the 9, or is he still kind of a little bit of a rebellious Shepard?
Why did he bring him back just to kill him?
Yeah, I was going to say, do we know that he's really intent to kill him? He's intent to find him. Plus, Marcus also says, I think that what goes around comes around. Maybe he's trying to get what comes around or something.
I mean, he did have a gun to the girl's head. That's the only reason I think he's trying to kill him.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
But why bring him back?
Well, maybe because... Well, is it that he brought him back, or is he just awakened after 9 years?
Yeah.
And then he was awakened, that's when he had to kill him, kind of making up for the mistake he did before, not killing Marcus for the 9.
Yeah, maybe he's in some hot water now with the 9 since he let Marcus get away and he was supposed to kill him, it seemed like, in that bar.
Yeah, it seems more of a containing kind of, because he knows the extent that Marcus can go to. And so I think it's, rather than killing, it's more of a stopping whatever plan Marcus has.
I mean, we don't really know what all of Richard's motives are. I mean, the first time we see him, not the first time, but the first time in, like, today, we see him killing Bill Anderson's family. Is he on some side mission, or is he doing this all for the 9? And is the 9 a literal 9 people, or is it just a name of, that's another thing I wondered about.
I think it'd actually be 9 people. It seems a little odd if it was 10 people and they called them the 9.
I don't know, secret organization, the 9, because the 9 represents things.
Sure, they want to throw him off the scent. There's actually 11 of us, but we say 9.
I hope that's the case now. That'd be great.
Perhaps.
That'd be quite the twist.
Yeah, it would be.
The big twist at the end of this series, it was actually 10 people.
Who knew?
Oh, thank you.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Studio
it's
audience.
The audience loves it.
Love that one.
Yeah. So I think that Marcus seems a little bit more out of control in this 9-year-old girl's body. Seems a little bit creepier.
Well, I think it's creepier because we don't expect it from a 9-year-old girl. If it's from an adult, it'd be like, okay, yeah, they're older, and we can understand that they'd be a little bit more precocious in that way. But coming from a girl is so unexpected.
And quite frankly, if I was if I was Marcus and I found my soul, spirit, whatever, in the body of a 9-year-old girl, I might be a little frustrated too, because there are major limitations.
Yeah, she can't even get past the, security gate.
Yeah.
But I think this goes back to the conversation about like the struggle in the body, like and we'll get into Amy later, but it seemed like Amy was going back and forth a lot between herself and the other soul, and so there's like a switching back and forth that seems to happen, and so it just feels like there's like an out of control child with like a killer's soul inside, and it's very frightening.
Well, this episode to me, Madison seemed all Marcus. Like there wasn't, like in the episode before, there were little moments where she felt like a kid again. But this one, she felt all Marcus the whole time. So I feel like maybe Marcus has taken real, complete control over at this point. Again, I imagine it's easier to take control over a 9-year-old girl as opposed to an adult.
Okay.
Yeah,
Possibly.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I still wonder if being in such a young body, it was some sort of punishment. If it was some sort of trying to contain him. Like he was shepherded into, because if we're going by the idea that every 9 years things change or they awaken or something like that, he was put into the body of an infant at a point.
Sure. Perhaps he's just, well, I guess what you were saying, like he's got some limitations there with being in a, I guess, well, I was going to say less powerful body, but then seems to take care of Karen just all right. So maybe there's some strength.
I still
there.
wouldn't mess with her.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with her either. Yeah.
But the significance of being split technically between an adult and a kid.
Sure.
I mean, why just a 9-year-old kid when he could have just been in one person? But what's the significance of going into 2 people instead of 1?
Wait, what are you?
Wait, is he in 2 people?
I'm getting the impression that there's like 2 of them are being controlled. Is it the same person?
Oh,
No.
Okay.
Rather being Amy
thought of that, but
and...
See, I think Amy is a separate. Whoever's in
separate
Amy is a separate person.
I'm
That's
still
what
trying
I'm
to figure
thinking.
out the show
Yeah.
too, guys.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
I
new
mean.
here.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean,
who
who
knows?
knows at this point? I'm
Are
going
they
on the
related?
assumption they're separate.
sure. But even last week you said like there's no dumb theories because there's so much going on here.
But somehow related.
Because we're going to make some dumb theories,
Yeah.
believe me.
We're speculating here. We're speculating.
But so what's interesting, there seems to be a lot of Christ theories here going on, or Christ themes,
yeah.
because the piece by Mozart had to do with the feast of the body of Christ.
Corpus Christi.
So,
yeah.
so there's that.
You're correct.
Yes. So there's that.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have anything.
Well,
right
I think on any show that has like a lot of mystery and intrigue, and throw in any sort of religious symbolism, especially like, as well known as religion as Christianity is, it's kind of easy to throw it in. Not easy, but like it's good stuff to throw in there because there's a lot of history with that.
Yeah.
And again, remember, apparently the secret to this is in organs and
In churches.
European cathedrals. So
There's gonna be some church music going on.
yeah.
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 Gospel.
Also,
perhaps,
do we know the time period in the year that this is all going on too? Is it in the spring? Because if you think about it, with the Last Supper and the whole sand dollar and the dying, so that's usually takes place
Resurrection,
in the resurrection
yeah.
era. So that's mostly in the spring.
Sure. Yeah.
Could be all related.
Yeah.
When this all started.
Yeah, when it's all starting, or if it's happening
Well, like
right now,
like present day
like
on the
why
show.
why
Okay.
is all these occurrences happening right now?
Sure.
Is it in the springtime during the time where all that with Jesus happened during that time
I
period?
believe it. It doesn't seem too warm outside. So
Yeah, it seems like it's definitely, it's not winter, it's certainly not summer, so I buy that.
doesn't really feel like fall. Seems like a springtime.
Interesting. All interesting.
It's all tough because in that Pacific Northwest, it's
Yeah.
always raining, it's always miserable.
So if this little girl is in your car and she starts talking about how she was there during this time of Mozart, I mean, I feel like I would just definitely kick her out of my car. If it were me, I would just get rid of her.
You're gonna leave 9-year-old girl on the side of the road?
Seems a little irresponsible to just kick her out, especially after you took her money.
I would keep her money.
Well, we know
on
that
the
you
side of the
would.
road.
We know you would keep the money, but what should you have done?
Warm-hearted Anna Koppel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, she should never have taken her to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She should
I
not
mean,
have.
Karen made a lot of mistakes going into this episode.
Yes.
And she's immediately very morally conflicted about it once they start driving. Of course, yeah, because you can't just take kids.
Right.
It's kidnapping.
Yeah, that's the definition of it. I'm pretty sure.
But,
But she does like sort of feel remorse, like I shouldn't have been greedy and stuff like that, and I shouldn't have picked you up. I'm just gonna turn around, that kind of stuff. So there's some remorse there.
But she doesn't.
She doesn't.
well, because the kid is so scary. She's intimidated by her.
Yeah.
She's intimidated by a 9-year-old. She's trying to put it back on. And then she's telling the story about the piece of music they listened to.
Yeah.
Also, at the beginning of their car ride, you heard Tim Truth again.
Yeah,
on the-
Yes.
on the
yeah.
radio. Everybody's listening to Tim Truth. He's got the highest rated numbers of any.
Yeah.
How big is
Radio
his podcast?
Yeah. He's on AM radio. If you saw that, so
Yeah, he
sky's the limit, I guess. Right?
he knows how to get out there, all the way from El Cajon. Ooh. It's wise. He's a good guy. He's smart. But she gets creeped out enough to pull this. Oh, and what is Madison doing holding this card in her hand? By the way, what is she doing with that? I mean, I feel like that's an amateur move too.
Wasn't it in her pocket?
It was right in her hand. I thought
Yeah, it could have been the pocket.
I
I'm
thought it
not
was
sure.
the pocket.
It
well,
was under the arm. Could have been the pocket.
it was visible enough.
Who's this Karen just to rummage through someone's pockets? There was the other moment where she asked the
She's the adult in charge.
Okay, fair enough. She asked her about like her family, and there were those flashes of like the happy family on the beach and stuff like that. But there was one flash of like looked like an older man, like eyes like peering, like looking, and I don't quite know what that was. Did anybody else catch
I
that?
didn't catch it. Yeah.
No,
It was so fast.
maybe
It
that
was really fast. It was a
maybe that was one of
flash.
your bad memories.
Maybe that was just a flash I had before I walk onto this discussion. But there was a quick flash of, first it was the family, and then there was this flash of these eyes or this old face looking.
Is it Marcus?
It wasn't Marcus,
Okay.
but it clearly I felt that was another moment of struggling with being the child with the memories of the family, and then some other horrible thing that has happened to Marcus along the way, and maybe the hundreds and hundreds of years he's been alive.
Right. And she had asked, do you get along with your family?
Yeah.
And the answer was, I don't know. Right? What was that?
It was I don't know. A little bait and switch there. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, she doesn't really, because Marcus, I guess, doesn't really the family was in a bad situation when Madison left, but there were happy times on a beach.
Yeah.
Maybe. All right. And so ultimately Karen calls Richard.
Yes.
And, there's bad connection. And but she gets him to the rest area. And I
That
find...
Shelter Creek safety. Oh, the irony.
Yeah.
That's not very safe there.
Never
Yeah.
pull into a place that the name's too ironic.
I know. Safety rest. Nope. Sorry, continue.
No, it's good. I'm glad you picked up on those things. Yeah. And just waits. I just feel like rest areas are not safe for people, women, children. I don't know.
9-year-olds, yeah.
Yeah, to like call like a strange man you don't know and just wait at a dark rest stop. I just feel like this is all just stupid behavior, and she kind of deserved this outcome.
I'm gonna say deserved.
Yeah,
She obviously did not think about it
Yeah,
all
in
the
her
way through. But like
defense-
all of her actions, she saw $500 and then was like, okay, money. But hindsight's a biatch.
Yeah, in
Okay.
her defense, I think she thought she was probably calling a parent or something like that. I mean, it is a weird card
Yeah.
to have.
Yeah, deserved is not fair, but let's maybe meet in a well-lit area, a restaurant, maybe some sort of public place.
She wasn't expecting to get killed by a little girl.
That is true.
That's who did her in.
I understand, but I mean, you know, maybe if they were at this restaurant or police
Maybe you
station.
pull into a diner.
Yeah, it was like police
There's gotta
station would be better.
You get off that highway, there's got to be something, right? There are towns, right?
Yeah, somewhere. They're
Well,
not
look.
that far from Seattle. They're an hour away.
As I said, Karen has made a lot of poor choices
Yeah.
going into this whole situation.
Saying she could have made it. She could have made it. She could have just dropped her off in Seattle.
And again, you had technology problems. Her phone wouldn't work.
Sure.
And then
Yes.
even when they were on the phone with Richard, it was breaking up. He could barely hear.
Yeah.
It's like there's some other force out there, it seems, that's always causing all this tech issues.
You know,
Oh,
I
right,
agree
yeah.
because we saw, I believe, from like 3 different people like tuning the radio today. It's like they're kind of forced by some outside force that's like forcing them to listen to like one certain thing.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
And Madison even pulls the old I can't go, that's my uncle, he molested me card
Right,
on her.
yeah.
Too. And that was another one of those great little switch from little kid like to psycho killer moments.
Oh, when she turns around, you mean? And
Yeah.
It's like the smile on her face, and then
Yeah.
turns back around all sad.
Creepy smile.
I will give it to Millie, the actress. She's so good and so creepy.
Yeah, I really
Like,
like her.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is one talented.
She's
actress.
She
she's
can
able.
turn it on and off.
Oh,
yeah. Really
Sure,
quickly.
yeah.
And yeah, it was so creepy the way she went skipping into the bathroom. Like,
Yeah.
okay, just yeah, it was really.
Yeah, which you called, Will.
Yes.
I honestly thought you were joking last week.
No,
but
no,
you
I knew
called
this
it, yeah.
girl was gonna kill. You start by killing cats, and now you're killing
Oh, yeah.
women who pick you
people.
up to give you a ride to Seattle.
Everyone knows that. Everyone
That's
knows
it.
serial
It's-
killers start with cats,
That old
and then
proverb.
Not
Yeah.
all serial killers, but
Slippery slope.
psychopaths start with animals.
start with the cats.
It's true.
Move on to
Yeah.
women driving you
Exactly.
on rest areas. That's
And she,
classic
Place.
pattern.
yeah, and she quickly overpowered her in the bathroom. They were in there like 5 seconds before you heard a lot of banging and screaming, and
Dang.
it
Yeah.
was over.
Does Madison have the strength of an adult though?
I don't think so.
I don't know. It kind of seems so.
I think she just probably surprised her.
And then continued to surprise her by bludgeoning her.
Well, I mean, it depends if you get her in the neck or something.
Well, the
seemed
closed
like bludgeoning.
captioning
There was-
says banging, so I'm led to believe that it was some blunt object, maybe just shoving her into whatever.
Yeah, well, there's blood
or
on the
she
wall.
actually picked up
Yeah.
something and
But you know, one reason why I don't think she has the strength of like a super strong person is because when she's bashing that phone, it doesn't quite break on the like she's
Yeah.
hitting the phone, which is again like a little kid thing where I'm like, oh, this is kind of adorable. She can't break that phone because she kept hitting the pay phone and it wouldn't quite break. I was
So cute.
yeah, and nothing more.
So precious.
Yeah, it was real cute.
Yeah, it's adorable.
I don't know. She's got to have some kind of strength. I mean, a grown adult and a 9-year-old, you would think a grown adult could overpower a 9-year-old.
She's smart though. She knows the moves.
Okay.
it's true.
She's had thousands of years of life. Maybe.
She's
Sure.
innovative.
Perhaps
you
some
know?
sort of
she
Krav
uses her
Maga.
surroundings.
The why do we think Madison is going to Seattle?
There's something in Seattle, and maybe Todd Crane. I don't know. There's something there.
The 9 in Seattle.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, Todd Crane could be one of the 9. He seems like he's up to something. Or he works for
Creepy and
somebody.
mysterious
Creepy.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and well, Gary had photos of Amy, and maybe those were taken in Seattle because remember he said to Jack, "I bet she told you she was home yesterday."
Oh, right. Yeah.
But she wasn't.
So
So-
Seattle is like the base of operation for the 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think Seattle's a base of operation for much, but
That's what's so brilliant. about
that's
it.
yeah, it's
The
brilliant.
base of
great
operation for Starbucks is.
Yeah, no. That's not what I mean. No, sorry, Seattle. That's not what I mean. I just mean for like some
we
sort
love
of like
Starbucks.
yeah, some sort of like creepy underground like pipe
Sure.
organ from Eastern Europe. Like you wouldn't think
Headquarters.
it ends up in Seattle. That's what I meant.
Okay,
you know.
Maybe Starbucks.
Things get done in Seattle, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. Yeah, of course they do. Of course they
Maybe
do.
Starbucks is the key to eternal life.
Maybe.
Maybe that's what this is. This whole, again, another thing I'll enjoy when this whole show ends up being an ad for Starbucks.
Yeah.
So,
A Starbucks just opened up in AfterBuzz TV studios. Just right.
That would be amazing.
It really would be. I am so tired. So, anyway, if we could move on. So, but then it seems like Richard is cleaning up after Marcus because he burns the car, and I think he just doesn't want a trail left behind. That he doesn't want any chance of them looking after Karen, because then they'll start looking at, I don't know, even if there's a chance that they start looking at tapes or whatever, I don't know, he just doesn't want the risk of that. I'm assuming
he's got to be covering his tracks for the whole Marcus thing, because this is something he acted out on his own. He took the money on his own, so he's burning up any evidence so that no one else maybe is on the trail and knows what he did. I don't know.
Yeah, and even Karen made contact with him too, so hiding that trail as well.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that he was like talking to himself as he was like burning, like lighting, putting whatever lighter fluid in the car, and he's like, "Didn't your mom tell you not to pick up strangers?" And like, "Oh, here's what you get." I thought that was
what goes around comes around.
Oh,
Hey man.
He really likes burning things. Also.
Yeah,
he really likes. There's no subtlety to how he decides to take care of evidence. He just burns it.
Yeah,
he's an arsonist.
He's very effective.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into Jack and Amy. But before we do that, I just want to take a second to thank everybody for their comments and their views. But we could really use some rating and comments on iTunes. We love our viewers and we love your feedback. But this is a new show, and we could just use your feedback on iTunes so that we know how we're doing, and so that we could get some awesome guests on the show. That's how we do it. We get some viewership up. We get some guests in, we keep the lights on. That's the order of things, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The order of things here, there's
Check out all the other after shows we do here too.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, and tell a friend. So Jack, oh man, what is going on here? There's just
a lot.
Yeah. So Jack comes home, and on his drive home, there's a lot of driving going on. That seems to be, there's a lot of...
Richard drove the whole episode, basically.
Yeah, he did.
A lot of commuting back and forth to Seattle, too.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be open roads, no traffic.
No
there.
train? Is there a train? Anyway, so Jack, he's having like these nice sort of flashbacks of them, being silly and dancing together, but then he has like sort of these bad memories of her dancing by herself, and
bad memories dancing to jazz, good memories dancing to some sort of like pseudo punk music or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah. So he gets home, Amy's home, and in bed, and she just seems to have an answer for everything.
Not good answers.
Right.
They seem like they're all
answers.
they're really kind of BS answers, but she's...
Yeah, but you've had that fight with your significant other, right? And they just have an answer for everything, right? Am I right? And this is like a little bit more serious, but she has an answer for everything, but it's, like you said, it's not good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming they're so vague because she is, like you said, there's a schizophrenic nature to Amy. There's two people inside of him, and I feel like one, who I'd imagine is normal Amy that he married, wants to tell him everything, and then the other person inside Amy keeps squelching that desire or that need.
Right.
And it's hard to tell because when we see the actual normal Amy, it doesn't seem like she has any awareness that there's someone else within her. So there's just that fight itself because she doesn't even know what's going on.
I disagree with that. I think that
Really? I don't think she knows.
Well, I think that because there is a moment moments when she is like wants to tell him everything, wants to say we don't die, and there are things that you can't possibly understand, but here's what I can tell you, but then something else will take over, and she's like, never mind, like leaves the room.
And that feels like the real Amy knowing what's going on with her.
Right, and having like tears in her eyes, and because she does love Jack so much, but she calls him her shepherd too.
Yeah, I noticed that. It was kind of interesting.
But he's like an unknowing shepherd, because otherwise he would know what's going on.
Yeah, you'd think he would know what she was talking about. I can kind of see both. I can kind of see that she's somewhat aware or more aware certain times, and other times maybe not so aware. But she does say that thing like, we need to separate. And she's not talking about her and Jack, I don't think. Like, she's talking about the we as the two people within her or something like that.
Right. That she needs to become the person she's meant to be, she says.
Yeah.
Like
It's kind of hard to know which Amy is talking. I guess because do we know who the other person in Amy is? Have we got a name?
I don't think we've gotten a name yet.
It's kind of hard to tell like who's talking when.
The only time I knew for sure who was talking was when they tried to have sex, and then her pupils went all dilated. And then, I mean, that was clearly whoever's been awakened inside of Amy.
Yeah, protecting her in some way.
Yeah.
I did think, well, because that pupil dilating thing, it was like during the moment where where Jack's trying to get on with her. But like, it seemed like he's trying to. Is that sexy to you, Anna? You got a little shoulder shake over there.
Let's get it on,
Sexy shoulder
dance.
shake.
Okay, I'll sing the song later. Well, no, because like it's like. Yeah. I don't know because I'm not getting paid for this gig. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. For singing, I get paid to sing. That's what I meant. But he's trying to connect with her in this like moment, and while he's trying to maybe connect with the real Amy, that's when the pupils dilate and she stops him. I wonder if it's some sort of defense, perhaps.
Maybe.
I definitely feel like there were like family, relationship problems before Amy was even affected, and this is like the real minute Amy's trying to talk. It's like the real resonating feelings within her that like they've been trying to. There's been an obvious rift for a while, and then that kind of like taps into whatever whoever is inside.
Even in the first episode, we saw he was like trying to like, let's go to Paris, let's go. It seemed like these desperate attempts to, and we found out a lot about them as a couple in this episode.
Yes,
that they lost a child, that they lost a baby.
Yeah, she lost her mother.
Yeah, and also Jack is not necessarily the. I mean, we knew something happened when he was a cop, but he's not like the clean cut like hero. We may have been led to believe. Because he clearly has a history of fighting and drinking and major issues. And we see a moment of where he pushes her and she says, I don't want to see this Jack or something along those lines.
I don't want to talk to this Jack. This isn't the Jack I wanted to talk to, which is so interesting because he's like, which Amy am I talking to and who are you? And so just a lot of who are you?
I almost thought for a minute there he knew what was going on, but I think he was just playing off of her words.
Right. You were desperate to say something.
No, I'm saying, I mean, I get his frustration, but he's punching holes in windows and stuff. Like, it's...
Definitely has anger management issues. And drinking, because we see him driving and drinking at the same time.
Not too
But then when she takes the bottle and drinks it right from the bottle, he also realizes, hey, this isn't the normal Amy that I'm used to. Also, did you notice the tattoo on Jack's shoulder, the Ace of Spades? Which means...
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, Ace of Spades is the death card. Oh. So I thought that was interesting, too. Maybe, who knows? I mean, that might play into it.
It's got to play
into it.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's
there's
not
a
an
shepherd within Jack that hasn't woken up yet.
Well, she calls him her shepherd.
Yeah,
so.
But maybe like it's not the 9 years, so it hasn't woken up yet or something. I don't know.
Or do we think? See, I don't think there's anyone inside the shepherds. I think the shepherds
are
just
the
shepherds.
Maybe not.
But you never. Who the hell knows?
So we don't know. But in the bathroom scene, you could see a lot of pieces of their broken marriage where she's dumping booze down the sink, which is very typical of alcoholic marriages where there's somebody who's drinking and somebody who's pouring booze down the sink, but she feels like it's fine to just sort of leave for days and not call, and I just thought you would think that I'm fine, that's so lots of pieces of their broken marriage there. And but like you said, well, we learned that she has they lost a child and she lost her mother, but he almost seemed to use those as fighting words. Did anybody pick up on that?
Yeah. It was definitely like an offensive thing that he was doing there.
Right, because she had just given her speech about like we don't die. There's a way around. It's and he was saying that like that he knows her better than anybody else. So why do you think he would do that? I mean, it just seems so harsh to bring in their lost child.
I think there's a desperation at that point from him. I felt that's why he's throwing everything out there to try to make this thing work or try to remind her what they've been through and that they could overcome things, maybe. I mean, that's what I took. I mean, I feel like in the last moments of a relationship, you're throwing everything against the wall and maybe seeing what sticks.
Okay. That's
and also
fair.
when you're arguing, you say hurtful things that you don't really mean to.
That's true, too.
Especially if you've been drinking.
Especially then. Yeah, that's fair.
And she takes up smoking again, too.
Yeah, which maybe that's the other Amy or something.
Smoking
right.
and
I thought
jazz.
so, too. But then he did say the line, "You're smoking again." So it was, I believe that she used to be a smoker.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it could be the other person who's smoking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, while she's talking about the whole, like, we don't die, we come back, and he calls it, like, hippie BS or whatever, she mentions that, like, excuse me, that it's, like, lies that were meant to control us by, I suppose, the 9 or something, and however far this goes back.
Yes. And that
Or that the
when they
9
die,
the 9 know the truth.
Right.
And the lie we've been told is society telling us that we just die and we don't come back.
Oh, yeah. Maybe at some point everybody knew this truth, and it's been hidden over thousands of years.
Death for the ignorant.
Because
Yeah,
Right.
she said that.
yeah.
if you can be the group that controls, like if you could be a group that's going through history throughout that, you will be that much stronger. But if everyone's doing it, then it's an even playing field.
Sure.
So you might as well keep everybody else in the dark.
Yeah.
That's what we, the 4 of us, plan to do, by the way.
Yeah.
For the ignorant.
Yeah.
We understand much more about the show. We're just not letting you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it secret.
But then at some point he says to her, "You saved my life. I'd be dead, the kind of dead where you can't come back, kind of dead."
Normal dead.
Yeah, normal dead. And then, after they have not sex, and she goes to sleep, he seems to be having this flashback. They both seem to be having a flashback at the same time, but this flashback to whatever it is that happened, and maybe this is what happened in L.A.
That's what I'm assuming. But the way he was situated there, we're talking about when he shoots those guys. The way he
Right.
was situated, it did remind me very much of like cold, like Richard Shepard. Like it did remind me of a shepherd, like or how we've seen these guys. Even just the way he was kind of like in the dark, dressed and just sitting there with like the gun ready. It was something very reminiscent to other things I've seen from other characters so far in the show.
Didn't really seem to be like police business.
Yeah, it did not.
Right. So is this what he's talking about, where she saved his life, or is this what she's talking about, where he's her shepherd, or none of the above, and this is just some random flashback?
I gotta think it's connected. It wasn't clear because it's like you saved me, and then you see her come in at the end of him blowing away these 3 guys, but then there's no real like, okay, so how did you save him? With a hug? With the hug, really just made him feel good about killing 3 people.
Yeah.
I think it was like her saving him from killing himself. That slow killing of like going down a dark path, being an alcoholic, all these dark things that he was doing. Then like she's the one that brought him back and cleaned him up and became a better person.
And maybe she, in this, whatever this incident, because she comes into that crime scene, that thing, which made me think she had some sort of either role with the police department or something at that time, that maybe she's the one who stood up for him or looked out for him.
She's a lawyer.
Well, she is a lawyer, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of
yeah.
lawyer, though? Do we know?
We don't know.
You would hope
don't
criminal.
know.
She's a lawyer, but
Maybe like an ADA. Who knows?
yeah, she could have been
Idea.
someone who would have been on a crime scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Helped him clean that up, maybe. I don't know.
Well, the bodies were being taken out by a coroner,
Yeah, or the ambulance or something.
so
Well, cover it up. I don't know.
maybe that's.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm
That's
again. We'll learn.
Quite a theory. She helped him cover up 3 murders with other people around. That
Yeah.
seems not likely.
What I liked about all the Jack and Amy stuff in this episode, and we were talking about this a little bit last week, about how we needed to get a little bit more deeper into these characters, a little more emotional with these characters, and this really brought out a lot of that stuff I was hoping to see from them sooner or later. So it was the most emotional episode of the 3
Yes.
episodes so far.
Yes. And so then she was asleep, but she was doing that weird thing with her arm again.
Yeah.
Arm stroking. Very creepy.
Yeah.
I just kind of wonder if it's like the intruder, I guess, in the body, just admiring like new skin or something. It's like, oh, this isn't. Well, you know what I mean? Like, they get a new body every whenever, and it's just like, oh, like this body is cool. I don't know.
Wasn't there a moment in the first episode where Madison was examining her body?
Yes.
So, yeah, maybe a very similar thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's just like a thing they do every time they're in a new body. I don't know.
If I suddenly had...
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Yeah. I might be like, oh, what am I... This new body.
It's so creepy. I don't like that theory. But it's probably accurate.
That could be, yeah.
But also, this was happening in her sleep, so maybe it's also just a subconscious thing that is, you know, a subconscious memory from a time before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of arm stroking.
Of arm stroking.
Right.
Well, instead of restless leg syndrome, she has arm stroking.
Yeah, that's fair. Sure.
It's a thing, yeah, sure, yeah.
Why not?
I'll say this about Intruders, has the best arm stroking on all of television.
Well, but maybe the only arm stroking at that.
Take that, other networks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then Jack gets that call from Gary, and he not safe in the house. Come meet me.
Back to Seattle, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, can anybody just like, is there an in-between meeting point that these guys can have? I gotta drive 65 miles every time we have a
Honestly.
conversation. It seems like a one-way relationship. I don't know.
And that I was gonna say he seems annoyed with Gary. Why? But now that makes sense. Yeah. Why does he have to drive to Seattle?
I'd be annoyed with Gary.
Seriously, bro.
First of all, Gary, the very convenient timing on Gary's part. This phone call, which I got to imagine it's got to be like, what time is it? Right? It's got to be really the middle of the night.
Sure.
And Gary's it's such a clandestine call. This would drive me crazy too. It's like, what is this? Can't you just tell me something?
Well, I feel like I've told you before. I feel like Gary's an intruder, so maybe he knows when there's a certain time when they take over, and so.
Oh, so you think Gary?
Full body intruder. I told you, FBI. I'm telling you. I think that's like their code. I know that's probably not really what it stands for.
It can't be.
I want that to be correct so badly.
But I think he knows a little something extra. So
yeah, I would think he obviously knows something going on. I was wondering why Jack says, "Are you trying to blackmail me with this info?" When it's like he didn't bring it to him to be like, "Give me something for this." He was like, "You should be aware that she was." Not where she said she was.
Well, I think Jack always, with that competence, is always going with the most logical thing. Why else would someone be, like, showing you photos? Why else would somebody, like, why would he have an interest if not to...
Yeah.
Another smart move Jack does is before he gives her back her phone, he copies all
clones
the contact.
yeah.
So...
But
Ever the policeman.
He doesn't trust her now. He just does not...
And plus, that's also the cop within him, you know, he's suspicious. He has questions.
She's given him no reason to trust him.
Yeah, well, she's spinning him all those, like, obviously fake stories. I mean, she asked for the phone back right after she said, we need to separate, and I don't want to leave you. But then, like, oh, I would never leave you. Anyway, can you get my phone?
Right after she was on her own phone call. Mysterious phone call outside.
I was just having a cigarette,
Yeah. I saw you on the phone.
Yeah. I watched you make a call.
Was she on the phone with Todd Crane? Was that who she was talking to?
Maybe she was on the phone with Gary.
I really don't trust Gary. I gotta trust Gary.
You trust Gary?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's in on the thing. I don't know.
I don't know. He's given Jack some info. He couldn't be in on it and then be leading him towards the truth.
The most informed.
But that's not trustworthy person 101. You give somebody enough information to trust you and have them open up, and that's when you really take advantage of them.
If Gary's afraid of the 9, he's got to be careful about what he lets out and how he gives the information across. Or he could be.
But isn't Richard afraid of the 9? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. But that's why he's trying to cover his tracks. I don't know.
Is Richard trying to play it both ways? Like, is he working for the 9 but afraid for the 9? Is he like double agent?
Maybe.
Could be.
You know, there was a dialogue I enjoyed, speaking of when he first gets back home to Amy, about the phone number about not being able to remember the phone number. I just like the little because I wouldn't be able to remember, and I like that because if he had been able to say the number, I would have been like that's BS. But he didn't know her number either, so I thought it was.
Well, I know my wife's phone number. Even though I don't dial it that often. I mean, I dial it, but I don't like actually punch in the number.
I know no one's number anymore. I used to.
I know her phone number and like my home number from like the 4th grade. That's about it.
Yeah, I remember like old phone numbers from like a child, as when I was like a child, but I don't remember anything new.
It was just funny that the number he used, like 360 9 or something like that in there.
But here's the other thing, though. It's an iPhone, right? It's the cloud. Doesn't the cloud back up contact information?
Don't trust it.
Well, as we know, as we've learned.
As we learned, the cloud backs up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Boom.
It does.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Also, 360 equals 9. They just love a 9 on the show.
Oh, I didn't even. Yeah, look at that.
They just can't get away from
it's
it.
just everywhere.
There's a painting of a 9 pool of ball behind the 9 ball from pool behind Richard Shepard.
Was there?
And once in the scene with Marcus, there's a giant ball behind him.
Wow.
Interesting.
Everywhere.
Well, and then also, I guess Gary does, getting back to the show before he spin off his Gary does sort of allude to that Amy possibly had something to do with Bill Anderson. You may have sketched that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got to find this Bill Anderson.
I have a Bill
she's
Anderson
connected in some way.
prediction, but I'll save it for predictions.
Okay.
All right, well, let's get into predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
It's Bill Anderson prediction.
Gary knows exactly where Bill Anderson is. Gary is working with Bill Anderson. And Gary is going to bring Jack to Bill Anderson.
So you don't trust Gary either, really?
No, I think he's a good guy, but he's protecting Bill Anderson until he knows that people could trust. I think Bill and Gary are teamed up.
Sure.
Right.
I forget
I like that.
What do we know about Bill Anderson at this point?
That he was what was his name? He was like some sort of not sound engineer, but he studied the I forget the exact job title, but it had to do with audio and sound, and he had discovered that with the organs. I always bring up the organs in the Eastern European cathedrals where where the octave solo you can't hear it, but it has the answer to eternal life.
Yeah,
Isaac?
Well, it's not necessarily like not as good a prediction as Will's, I guess, but just that we're gonna have like a pretty Gary centric episode with him leading Jack along there. Plus, there's something also about building a ghost in a machine, or built a ghost machine. I don't know who that guy was, but
I think that might be Bill Anderson.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah. It's gonna get real buddy cop next episode.
I think we already had the buddy cop episode.
We did, but I think this is gonna get. I mean, they're actual cops, so.
True.
And they're actual buddies.
True.
So,
literally.
what about you, Marisa?
I think these so-called intruders, they're obviously attacking families who are broken. Because we see Madison's family, we know her parents, the O'Donnells, they're separated. Mm-hmm. So they're probably in the process of divorce. And who knows if Madison's family had like a miscarriage, if there was a child loss in that family. And then we also see Amy and Jack, they're on the brink of divorce. And so I think there's something with families that are broken that affects Marcus's past, like something went wrong with his family, and we also hear him question, are you close with your family, whatever. So there's something obviously that happened to Marcus that's family related, which we will find out.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Serafini, come on.
Genius insights.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can't follow that up. I don't know. Anyway,
I'm
okay,
genius,
well,
though. Thank you though.
well, yeah, you're up there though. You're up there. Okay, so where can we find everybody?
You can find me on Twitter at The Real Will Lenk. You can also listen to my podcast, Will Sean Podcast. It's a pop culture comedy podcast on the Westcast Network.
You can follow me on Twitter at Isaac Johnson or Instagram, The Isaac Johnson. And if you do want to hear me sing, you can head over to my YouTube channel, The Isaac Johnson. Check out my music video called Virginia. And buy my album while you're there, maybe. I don't know.
Awesome. And you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV.
Cool. And you can follow me at Koppel for Mayor, KOPPELFORMAYOR. And Isaac and I will also be buzzing about Ray Donovan in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And we'll all be back here next week. Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.